The next tune I'll play, I learned from a fiddler from Iowa by the name of Dwight Lamb. We had him a couple of times out to the Festival of American Fiddle Tunes when I lived in Seattle. And I was really captivated by his playing and his tune choice. But he was impossible to learn from in person. He was left-handed, played on a right-handed fiddle, and his bow arm floated. I couldn't really see what he was doing bowing. And I was really struggling. I figured, well, I'll just record him and try to learn from him. He says, you should learn from the fellow that I learned from. And I said, well, is he alive? And he said, no, but I'll send you a recording of him. There's a fellow by the name of Uncle Bob Walters, who's from Nebraska. And this is a tune called The Irish Reel, which isn't Irish at all. It's probably not even real. Passed away in February, and he didn't play much in cross tuning, and I managed to learn one tune from him in cross tuning. He called it Gallynipper, which is their local term in where he lived in Kentucky for big mosquitoes. And he learned this from his father, Richard Fraley, who was an old-time fiddler who grew up in Ashland, Kentucky. And I found out recently from my folklorist friend Steve Green that Richard Fraley learned the tune from Gilson Day, who was J.W. Day's father. So we're talking about somebody going back to the 1850s, 1840s.
2. And unfortunately, they only recorded 2 tracks then. And about a dozen years ago, I got in the mail a taped interview with some members of the family, and at the end of it were recordings of 2 tunes from home disc recordings from the 1940s of Dick Weems, with he and his stepson on guitar. And then a few months ago, I got a couple of emails from his granddaughters, and they were looking for information about the family. And I thought, oh, there's been almost nothing written about him. I should talk to Charles Wolf. So we already talked to him. He said to talk to you. And I said, well, I've got this interview, and I described for him. They didn't have that. And I said, and it's got these 2 home disc recordings on the end of it. What? Those are missing. We haven't seen those in 20 years. We have them. What are they? I said, well, one's Billy in the Low Ground, and the other one's an unidentified tune. Somebody, Cat Conti, thought it might be like a version of Camp Chase. And that puzzled them. They didn't know what Camp Chase was. So I copied this stuff and sent it to him. And then the stepson, one of the girl's father, calls me on the phone. And he's like in tears because Billy in the Low Ground was his dad's favorite tune that he won all the contests with. It's just a beautiful version. He says he thought he'd never hear it again because the record just got lost shortly after this guy had come to interview them and recorded the record. And then they had 5 copies of it, and they all disappeared over the next few years. And he said, well, you know, we want to put out this CD, and we have all these home recordings of the full band. And I says, well, you should probably send that over to Charles Wolf. And he says, oh yeah, he's got it mastered. They just finished it. You want a copy? So hopefully, it's very short. It's like another dozen tunes, but they're all played pretty short. And hopefully they'll be putting that. That's great stuff. Oh man. So anyway, they identified the tune that we didn't know. It's called Lonesome Widow.
Lonesome Widow.
Widow.
Down there in Tennessee, they say
Widow. Oh, and they were putting up a memorial to their grandfather in the band, but their town is now under a lake, courtesy of the Tennessee Valley Authority, so they had to move it over to some ridge. And there's now a band shell there, and they'll be putting on like concerts and stuff. Can't remember the name of the town.
No, it's by Harrison.
Yeah. They were neighbors of Nani Presson and her husband were the Perry County music makers, and they recorded it the same day. And Nevins located the Weems family because he was going down to interview Nani Presson. And one of the Weems kids was there when he was, there's a photograph of them all in Old Time Music magazine, now defunct. No relation to the Old Time Herald.